Chapter 5. A Vision for Success. Throughout this book, we've discussed many do's and don'ts of exit planning. As you'll recall from the very beginning of Chapter 1, choosing not to plan for the future is still making a choice. For a difficult sale, or more tragically, no sale at all. Businesses that fold and quietly disappear are a tragedy on multiple levels, from the family aspect all the way up to the health of our economy. That's why it's so important for you, as a business owner, to get this right. In this, our final chapter, we'll review a real client example of how planning for the future and building an exit planning cabinet can fulfill your dreams and enable future success. As usual, I've changed names to protect privacy, but the story is real. More importantly, this wasn't a one-in-a-million client success. This is what we consider a common outcome for clients who prepare early and execute their roadmap to successfully exit. Our tale begins with a man we'll call John. John spent his career building a successful property casualty insurance firm in Georgia. When he first came to Sofer Advisors, he was nearing 50 and at a crossroads. He had devoted his entire adult life to his company, but now felt it was time to plan an exit. We began by exploring the reasoning behind his decision. Like most owners, John spent practically every waking moment working or worrying about his business. Such anxiety interfered with other important things in his life, like attending his children's sports competitions and school events. He felt a keen sense of being unavailable to his family. This finally came to a head during his son's soccer tournament one chilly spring Saturday. John's son, Will, wasn't a starter but played his heart out whenever he got the chance. His father was in the stands watching his team at the start of the second half when he got a call from a key client. They needed help ASAP due to an employee emergency. Seeing Will wasn't in the game, John left the stands and went back to his car where, of course, he had his laptop available to work between games. He spent about 20 minutes solving his customer's problem, then rushed back. Will's team had scored while John was gone, and his son played the rest of the game, an uncommonly long amount of playing time. Afterward, Will excitedly ran to his father. "Dad, did you see my goal?" John's heart sank. The goal scored while he was in the car working. It was his son's. The boy recognized the look on John's face. "It's okay, Dad, I know work comes first." That hurt even worse. John knew this wasn't okay. He didn't want work to come first any longer. At the same time, John wasn't getting the same satisfaction from his company's excellent performance as he once did. It felt lonely at the top. Even big client wins didn't bring the thrill they had in the early days. This led John to a period of soul searching as he tried to determine the right path forward. John woke up the next day realizing he was at a pivotal moment. To grow his business, he would need to take it to the next level, spending even more time away from his kids. This is a common situation in small and medium businesses. We call it owner dependency. The company relies on the owner's skills to keep operating at a high level, especially as the owner is typically the best salesperson in the company, making its revenue dependent on them too. The other option was to sell the company. John had brought on a junior partner, but this person wasn't yet ready to take the reins via an internal sale. That left the path forward clear to John. It was time to prepare the company for sale and exit the insurance business in the next few years. Though feeling deep relief, John had never sold a business before. He called his business lawyer to get advice on how to proceed. His counsel's immediate answer was, "Let's make an appointment with Sofer Advisors." How Sofer Advisors helped John start his journey. From our very first meeting, John impressed us. He was a man on a mission and had the right mindset from the jump. He started early and was open to our help in reaching the goal he wished to manifest, the ability to gain the work-life balance he craved without fully retiring at a young age. Sometimes, much of my early work with clients is convincing them of the necessity to take certain steps, like completing a full-scope valuation of their business as a benchmarking tool to use throughout the exit planning process. That wasn't the case with John. He knew the importance of doing things right, perhaps due to his many years in the insurance field. In addition, he emphatically trusted his attorney's recommendation. Bottom line, he was receptive to my advice from the start. Step 1 was to explain to John the two most important things to get an exit plan off on the right foot. The first, as detailed in Chapter 4, is a full-scope valuation to create a comprehensive value overview of a company as it stands today. The goal isn't to set a price to sell in 6 months, but rather to have a solid foundation for all future planning and simulations. My next point was to ask John about his financial planner. Turns out John already had one in Vincent, a man with a fantastic reputation for creating holistic plans based on his clients' goals and wishes. I'd actually worked with this financial professional in the past and referred clients to him, so I knew we were headed in the right direction. The only issue John had not yet talked to Vincent about was his plan to exit. John and I called Vincent from my office to go over this. Quickly, we got the latter up to speed on the situation, setting several activities in motion at the same time. Meanwhile, my team swung into action with the preliminary stages of the full-scope valuation as Vincent began working on a new holistic financial plan. This would be based on selling his business in 3 to 5 years, instead of the 10 to 15 the current plan was modeled on. Next, John and I discussed the concept of the exit planning cabinet. Happily, key components of John's dream team were in place. Sofer advisors would fulfill the cabinet position of exit planner and overall team leader, and we already had his business attorney, CPA, and financial advisor on board. Over the next few years, other experts and consultants would join the team for different stages when their expertise mattered. But from the start, the core of his exit planning cabinet was locked in place, mission-focused. What we learned by valuing John's company. A full-scope valuation generates a tremendous amount of data and insights into a business and its inner workings. Our team of experts always uncovers both strengths and weaknesses. Depending on an owner's goals and timeline, this info gives us the ability to create a roadmap to success, whether the goal is to sell in a few years, as John planned, or to increase the value over 15 years before handing it off to the next generation. In John's case, we were laser-focused on strengthening weaknesses we uncovered so the company would be as attractive as possible to buyers. Going back to the real estate analogy in Chapter 4, our client had a great house needing some renovations and updates to make it pop to prospects. One of the first things we brought to John's attention was how his business heavily relied on a small group of large customers. John pivoted in the past away from large customers to focus on mid-size organizations, but 5 large entities still accounted for almost half his revenue. The issue was John had diversified his customer base by adding many small and mid-sized clients, but he had not diversified his revenue base at the same time. All it would take is for 1 or 2 of these large clients to be lost for substantial revenue to disappear. This led to one of the major pivots in John's exit planning roadmap. He refocused both his sales staff and his personal efforts on selling to large companies. Over the next 2 years, he gained 5 large new accounts, lessening the risk of being so dependent on specific revenue sources. Another problem we uncovered? John's accounting was somewhat sloppy. If there's one thing a buyer wants to see from the outset, it's clean and tidy accounting. John fired his current person to bring in an expert his exit planning cabinet mutually recommended. In short order, John's financials were as clean as a whistle. His firm now operated on an accrual basis and could withstand scrutiny from any buyer. The team also recommended a bookkeeper to ensure the firm's new accounting policies and procedures were followed to the letter. Much later in the process, the exit planning cabinet recommended John hire a different accountant specializing in M&A work to complete a quality of earnings report. This can be considered an audit light. The report gave prospective buyers greater comfort in what they were purchasing. The peace of mind of knowing a company's financials are rock solid is worth its weight in gold as a sale approaches. This is another example showing the power of having an exit planning cabinet, the ability to find the right expert to complete each puzzle piece, even as the picture itself changes. As illustration, in the middle of the exit planning roadmap, one of John's competitors was hit with a catastrophic ransomware attack, crippling operations. We had reviewed John's infrastructure and didn't consider this a liability. However, due to the market being spooked by cybersecurity vulnerabilities, we worked with John to locate an expert who could perform an assessment and make recommendations. She reviewed John's policies and procedures, then recommended several low-cost fixes to vastly improve its security. The result? One less thing for potential buyers to worry about. And John. John also worked on himself. John came into the exit planning process with an excellent mindset, focused on goals beyond the workplace. Over the course of working through his exit roadmap, he identified further opportunities to improve his own management style with the help of his exit planning cabinet. Just as John's business was once customer dependent, because a small number of large customers accounted for a high percentage of his revenue, the business was also owner dependent. John was both the rainmaker and the person customers would call in case of an issue. To truly become independent, he had to get better at delegating authority to his staff. This is a common situation in small and medium businesses. John did work on delegating, empowering trusted staff members to be clients' go-to-people instead of calls going directly to him. He also began bringing along his junior partner to prospect meetings to help him up his sales game. Before long, John made the shift from working in his business to working on it. He enjoyed both personal and professional benefits based on the change. By delegating authority he once held close to his vest, he also gained the ability to think more strategically and spend time on self-development. One of John's big changes was joining a mastermind group. This brought him into regular contact with a diverse group of business owners and execs all interested in helping each other reach new levels of success. John always felt lonely as an owner. Now he had a group offering very different perspectives, helping him learn new ways to approach challenges. John will attest to the fact that 2 years into his exit roadmap, he was a very different owner than he had been in the recent past. He also had a new level of respect for the organization he built and was well on his way to putting his company on the best footing to sell at the best price possible. John sells. As John carefully followed his exit planning roadmap, making improvements over about 2.5 years, it became clear his business was in excellent shape. Meanwhile, the market was presenting an opportunity to sell his firm, the true goal of all his tremendous efforts. Along with a flurry of work to put the final touches on his company, like the quality of earnings report I mentioned, John put out feelers to 3 insurance firms we suspected would be most interested in acquiring his business. Immediately, a bidding war commenced. One potential buyer presented an offer head and shoulders above the competitors, demonstrating a real desire to integrate John's business into their own practice. They were offering $10 million, much more than John hoped for, but there were deal terms worrying John. The primary issue? The buyer wanted part of the deal to include rollover equity and an earn-out. In other words, John's payout would be partially tied to the continuing success of the business he built. From the buyer's perspective, this aligns the seller's interest with their own, a very attractive deal. But John was worried to make the deal work, he would need to keep working for the firm. So would his life really improve? And would he really get to spend more time with his family if he were still stuck in the same rat race? The exit planning cabinet held a special State of the Union meeting. We helped him understand that in deals like this, earnouts are almost inevitable. Furthermore, his company role would vastly change. Instead of being the lonely guy at the top, the larger firm would have multiple management layers running the show. His role would shift to doing what he does best, talking to customers and prospects and building trust that the organization would continue to provide them with top-notch service. John completed the deal, earning enough from the sale to care for his family for the rest of his life. He also ended up loving his new arrangement. He was constantly engaging in what he considered the best part of his old life as an owner, without all the stuff that gave him anxiety and kept him up at night. He earned a healthy salary and performance bonuses based on sales while having plenty of time to spend with his family and sharpen his golf game. John got the ultimate happy ending for any business owner, a successful exit enabling him to lead the life he desired. Talking to him now, he continually says the first meeting with his exit planning cabinet was the best thing that ever happened in his career. Most importantly, John's success wasn't due to the business equivalent of hitting the lotto. It was the natural result of planning, hard work, financial discipline, and working with dedicated experts. John acted by the book. The secret to John's success is he followed the main concepts outlined in each chapter of this book. Let's conclude our time together by reviewing how John's story fits in with everything you've just read. Chapter 1. In Chapter 1, we explored the big reason many businesses never sell: lack of planning. This is often caused by factors like fear, inertia, and ego. The very start of the exit planning process is the portion that no expert can help you with the decision to make a plan and work with experts to see it through. Ironically, this is one of the most important decisions in the whole process, but we can't help you if we don't know you want to plan for the future. In John's case, he had an epiphany that made it clear he couldn't keep following the same path. He couldn't dedicate even more time to reaching the next level of success and be with family. Much to his credit, his dedication to start exit planning was sharp and unwavering from the get-go. Chapter 2. In Chapter 2, we explained how macroeconomic conditions and trends can impact a business and its owner's ability to sell. Again, John demonstrated a keen understanding of the market, paying attention to what was happening within the insurance sector. This knowledge was a huge contributor to his realization it wouldn't be possible to grow his business without sacrificing more of his time. Knowledge of the market also played a role in his exit plan roadmap. For example, when the industry raised a collective fear of cyber attacks, John and the team quickly responded, ensuring his firm was not vulnerable to similar threats. This flexibility is vital for owners throughout the exit planning process. The roadmap is a guide to reach a goal, but just like a GPS will sometimes detour around a wreck or construction site, the roadmap may need to pivot to find the best way to reach that goal. Chapter 3. In Chapter 3, we developed a better understanding of company valuations and the important role they play in exit planning. In short, almost everything we do to plan a successful exit relies on the foundation of data created by a thorough SOFR advisor's valuation of your business. Although some clients balk at a valuation, considering it a waste of time and resources, John knew from the outset the important role it would play in his exit plan. Following the initial valuation of his firm, we reassessed his company after 18 months, providing ample evidence the roadmap was working and the company was becoming far more attractive to potential buyers. Chapter 4. In Chapter 4, we introduced the work necessary in the initial stages of exit planning to improve the odds of a successful exit. We also explained the concept of the exit planning cabinet, that dream team of experts who advise on your exit plan and help you achieve the best result possible. John was fortunate enough to have most of his exit planning cabinet in place early on in his exit planning journey. Throughout the following 3 years, experts would come and go as their specific niche was addressed. Throughout the whole process, SOFR advisors served as group leader, ensuring work was completed on time and focused on John's ultimate goals. Conclusion. John is not unique or special. He is one of countless small and medium business owners who are the lifeblood of our American economy. What made his exit successful was a dedication to achieving his goals, building a team of experts, and following through on his exit roadmap to make his company as appealing as possible to potential buyers. You can enjoy the same success John did, whether you hope to exit your business in 2 years or 2 decades. You just need the same commitment to success and a team of experts to help you. For a growing list of owners, the optimal exit plan begins by working with the SOFR Advisors team of experts. Daily, we dedicate our efforts to company valuation and owner exit planning because this work is far too critical for a generalist firm, and we want to be the best at what we do. I encourage you to contact our firm today so we can help you build the future life you want to lead, just as we have for John and many other clients. At the beginning of this book, I referred to Pastor Andy Stanley's question, "What breaks your heart?" and explained my professional answer. Seeing owners fail to exit their businesses due to a lack of planning, resulting in countless businesses closing their doors. This doesn't have to happen to you. Working with SOFR advisors, you can instead build a roadmap to a level of success that's completely attainable. All it takes is the right help and lots of hard work. Are you ready to get started now and leave a lasting impact?